Canada is pivoting east. Prime Minister Mark Carney's latest move to deepen ties with Poland signals a strategic shift. Trade, defense, and energy collaboration that strengthens NATO's eastern flank and unlocks new opportunities in Europe. This isn't just about diplomacy, it's about reshaping transatlantic power. Welcome to Geo Capitalist, where we decode global wealth, one power shift at a time. Today we're unpacking how Canada-Poland alliance just changed Europe, and why the US can't stop it. If you're watching Canada's European pivot closely, subscribe and drop a comment. Could this be the foundation of a new transatlantic corridor? Prime Minister Mark Carney's August 2025 visit to Warsaw marked more than ceremony. It unveiled a decisive pivot. Canada is diversifying its alliances, reducing over-reliance on U.S. channels by embedding itself deeper into Europe. Poland, the EU's fastest-growing large economy and a defense powerhouse, is the anchor. Carney and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced a strengthened strategic partnership spanning trade, energy, and defense. The timing is crucial. The EU's demand for critical minerals, nuclear technology, and advanced defense systems aligns directly with Canadian exports. For Ottawa, this isn't just partnership, it's market access into Europe's industrial core. Carney also met President Karol Nawrocki, reaffirming Canada's support for NATO and Ukraine. With Poland spending nearly 5% of GDP on defense in 2026, it has become Washington and Brussels' linchpin on the eastern flank. For Canada, aligning with Poland embeds its role in NATO, while tying Canadian industry into Europe's security architecture. This isn't rhetoric, it's strategy. By betting on Poland, Canada gains leverage across the EU and cements itself as a key Atlantic-Arctic connector in the face of geopolitical turbulence. Defense industries are the sharp edge of this partnership. Canada was named lead nation of the 2026 International Defense Industry Exhibition in Kielce, MSPO, one of Europe's largest defense showcases, attracting 30,000 visitors, 700 exhibitors, and 60 international delegations. This role positions Canada at the center of European procurement, highlighting its aerospace, surveillance, and cyber solutions. Already momentum is tangible. L3Harris Technologies Canada announced a new production facility in Katowice, Poland. The plant will manufacture advanced WESCAM EO/IR systems for regional defense and surveillance. The numbers are striking: $250 million in Canadian economic benefits, support for 200 Canadian jobs, and a European base serving Poland, Ukraine, and NATO allies. For Poland, this diversifies suppliers away from dependency on U.S. or German defense monopolies. For Canada, it means embedding its defense tech in Europe's fastest-growing security market. Beyond hardware, the Katowice facility will connect Canadian innovation hubs to European defense research, creating dual-use pathways in AI, sensors, and command systems. By 2026, Canadian companies will not only be exporting equipment, but co-producing it in Poland, a shift from arms sales to integrated industrial partnerships. This anchors Canada in Europe's defense supply chain for the long term. Canada's military role in Europe is expanding. Operation Unifier, launched in 2015, has already trained over 45,000 Ukrainian soldiers. Now, with Poland hosting much of NATO's logistics, Canada's contribution is moving from training to frontline infrastructure support. During his Warsaw trip, Carney visited Canadian Armed Forces personnel deployed in support roles. His message was clear: Canada is reinforcing NATO's eastern flank, not only with troops, but with industrial capacity. Poland, meanwhile, has emerged as NATO's sharpest spear, committing a record 200 billion Polish zloty, that's approximately $50 billion for defense in 2026, amounting to 4.8% of GDP, higher than any other major NATO state. Together, Canada and Poland are constructing a layered strategy. Ottawa provides innovation, advanced systems, and trained personnel. Warsaw delivers scale, geography, and frontline resilience. Both reinforce NATO while keeping Ukraine armed, trained, and supported. Critically, this approach reduces Europe's dependency on U.S. cycles of attention. By embedding in Poland, Canada ensures continuity for NATO's eastern missions, even if American politics shift. That dual reinforcement, Canadian tech, Polish logistics, becomes a backbone for Ukraine's survival and Europe's long-term defense credibility. Energy is the other pillar. In January 2025, Canada and Poland signed a nuclear cooperation agreement. Now that pact is moving into action. Poland is racing to replace coal, which still generates 65% of its electricity. Canada, a nuclear energy leader with uranium resources and reactor expertise, is the ideal partner. Westinghouse, with Canadian involvement, is already contracted for Poland's first nuclear power plant. Plans for 24 small modular reactors, SMRs, by 2030 are underway through the Polish OSGE program. Canada's uranium and SMR designs provide critical inputs. The partnership extends to hydrogen, LNG, and offshore wind. For Canada, this diversifies its energy export base beyond the U.S. For Poland, it accelerates energy independence from Russian gas. Both benefit from access to EU green transition funding. Symbolically, Carney's Warsaw visit underlined that energy isn't just about power, it's security. Nuclear deals, hydrogen R&D, and Canadian LNG routes through Polish terminals tie two economies into a common strategy. For Ottawa, this is industrial diplomacy. Every nuclear component shipped east reinforces Canada's role as a clean energy supplier to Europe, binding economic and security interests in one transaction. The Canada-Poland relationship isn't just defense and energies, it's commerce. Since the EU-Canada Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, came into force, bilateral trade has doubled. Poland is now Canada's largest trading partner in Central and Eastern Europe. During Carney's visit, aerospace took the spotlight. LOT Polish Airlines confirmed its Airbus A220 fleet expansion. The A220, designed and built in Quebec, represents a direct bridge from Canadian aerospace to Polish aviation. Future cooperation includes pilot training, simulation technology, and aviation R&D. Agriculture and critical minerals are also in play. Canada's potash and rare earth exports align with Poland's industrial needs. Meanwhile, Polish manufacturing provides Canada with competitive European supply chains. Investment is flowing in both directions. Polish firms are expanding in Canada, targeting IT and food processing, while Canadian investors eye Poland's logistics hubs and ports. Annual bilateral dialogues are now formalized to manage this economic integration, ensuring trade isn't episodic but systematic. For Ottawa, Poland is not just another EU partner. It's a gateway to the continent's central and eastern markets. For Warsaw, Canada is a transatlantic lifeline that diversifies beyond U.S. and German industrial networks. Technology is the silent driver of this partnership. Canada and Poland announced expanded collaboration in cybersecurity, AI, ISR systems, and drone innovation. Both countries are investing heavily in dual-use platforms that can strengthen defense while supporting civilian industries. Poland has become a European leader in cyber resilience, hosting NATO's key cyber defense centers. Canada, with hubs in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, is exporting AI expertise. Together, they're building frameworks for secure 5G, 6G, satellite monitoring, and Arctic-Baltic communications. The Katowice facility reinforces this integration. Its WESCAM surveillance systems will be co-developed with AI enhancements. Beyond defense, these systems can support environmental monitoring, infrastructure protection, and disaster response. Both governments framed this as part of a resilient supply chain strategy. By embedding cybersecurity and AI cooperation into trade and defense deals, they ensure that future industries aren't siloed, but interconnected. For Ottawa, this is an opportunity to showcase Canada's tech innovation on a European stage. For Warsaw, it means upgrading its defense and industrial base with transatlantic partners that share values. The result, a dual tech alliance that is as much about deterrence as it is about economic modernization. This partnership doesn't exist in isolation. It's embedded in the EU framework. Canada is already a strategic partner of the European Union, with CETA covering trade and the new EU-Canada Security and Defense Partnership opening defense procurement channels. Poland serves as Canada's gateway into EU procurement and funding streams. For example, nuclear cooperation aligns with EU decarbonization funds. Defense co-production qualifies under the EU's Permanent Structured Cooperation (PESCO) framework. That means Canadian companies can bid into European supply chains, a dramatic expansion of market reach. Diplomatically, this enhances Ottawa's leverage. By strengthening ties with Warsaw, Canada indirectly boosts its weight in Brussels, as Poland is a leading voice on NATO, Ukraine, and Eastern security. It also reduces reliance on Washington as the only bridge across the Atlantic. Looking ahead, a Polish nuclear trade mission to Canada in November 2025 will further tie both economies into EU frameworks. That mission could unlock financing for SMR deployment and critical mineral supply agreements. But the EU dimension is wider. The European Investment Bank and the EU's Green Deal industrial plan could funnel billions toward projects that match Canada-Poland priorities: hydrogen corridors, cross-border grids, and secure mineral supply chains. By embedding itself with Warsaw, Ottawa positions Canadian firms to access these funds, not as outsiders, but as partners of a core EU member state. The political optics matter too. Poland, once sidelined in Brussels, is now central. Its stance on defense, enlargement, and resilience shapes EU policy. For Canada, tying its fortunes to Poland amplifies its influence inside EU decision-making. Every bilateral project with Warsaw becomes a stepping stone to broader EU visibility. For Ottawa, this is smart hedging. For Brussels, it's another transatlantic anchor. And for Warsaw, it's proof Poland can deliver not just defense power, but economic leadership inside the EU. So where does this go? The Canada-Poland alliance has set the stage for annual strategic dialogues covering defense, energy, trade, and technology. By 2026, expect milestones: the Kielce Expo, SMR deployment agreements, expanded aerospace partnerships, and deeper cyber collaboration. The upside is enormous. Canadian firms embedded in EU markets, Poland securing new energy independence, NATO reinforced without depending entirely on U.S. politics. This positions Canada as a transatlantic connector, not just a junior partner. Risks remain. Defense industry delays could undermine credibility. EU bureaucracy could slow procurement, and global volatility, from energy shocks to election cycles, could test the alliance's durability. But the structure is strong. Shared democratic values, overlapping industrial needs, and geopolitical urgency. Zooming out, the stakes grow even higher. If Poland becomes the EU's energy transition hub and defense manufacturing powerhouse, Canada will be part of that story. From uranium exports fueling reactors to critical minerals powering EV supply chains, Ottawa has levers across the board. Poland's ports and rail links could also become conduits for Canadian LNG, grain, and fertilizer, expanding Ottawa's footprint in Europe's daily life. This alliance could also set a template for Canada's broader EU engagement. If the Poland playbook works, similar frameworks may follow with Romania, the Baltics, or even Germany on specific industries. In that sense, Poland isn't just a partner. It's a proving ground. The message is unmistakable. Canada's partnership with Poland isn't symbolic. It's structural. It builds resilience for both countries while offering Europe a stable North American ally beyond Washington. And it's reshaping the map of transatlantic cooperation for decades to come. That's GeoCapitalist, decoding Canada's new alliance with Poland, where trade, defense, and energy meet geopolitics. If you found this breakdown valuable, watch our next video. It connects directly to what's unfolding. And don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us decode these global shifts without compromise. Let us know in the comments. Is Canada simply diversifying, or is this the start of a permanent economic pivot? Either way, the world is watching. Thanks for watching. Nazis. Att det sidor spär med det.